Hey everybody, it's Jaret from the Rockstar Dad Show. This week, you know him from TikTok, you know him on Octane on Sirius XM. Jesse Lee will be on the show. It's going to be a good one. That's this week on the Rockstar Dad Show.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. So here's the next episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Rockstar Dad Show. It is great to be here. I keep forgetting that we have these awesome music beds. Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
How many of these beds do we have?
We have two. We have this one. It's called Jet Bed, and then we have Foo Bed.
Yeah, makes sense.
Although that right there sounds like Bowling for Soup. Just octaves everywhere, you know. But man, how are you, dude? I feel like I've spent the last two episodes just ranting and raving about just shit. You know, like the dog eating the remote control last week, and
other than installing car seats, my life's going pretty good.
I like to hear that.
I don't know if you saw this. Did you see the post I made the other day about QR codes on emails and stuff?
No.
Okay. So I just made a post like, can we stop posting or emailing QR codes without a link, right? I mean, I get it all the time from our coaches and school and this and that, right?
Right.
And so many people were on this about, same thing. We hate it. Like, what are we supposed to do, right? And then some people start chiming in, hey, you can actually get it to work. And I don't know if you know this, but like if you screenshot the thing and then you hold down the QR code and blah, blah, blah. And like, okay, so there is a solution, but I don't care because guess what? The people that like spelled out the solution, it's 4 steps.
Yep.
But they're not taking into account now you've got all these freaking QR code flyers on your phone that I don't want on my phone. So there's more steps to go in and clear out your photos, right? So now I'm getting worked up on this freaking QR code thing. But I stand by my post. Let's stop sending out QR codes in digital format without just providing a link.
Yeah, I mean, it is really frustrating. Unless you're sitting in front of your computer where you can scan it on your phone. But yeah, that's the way that I have dealt with it is the screenshot thing. Because you can also do a thing where you can screenshot something and then you can copy the verbiage on there, and things like that. So it's just interesting to me that there's not a way for your phone just to know that it's a QR code, but that is frustrating.
I don't understand it. Like, I think that it's like PTA moms thinking that they're clever, like, oh, we figured out how to make QR codes. Let's email it out.
Right.
And like, they're not thinking about the user experience, right?
Yeah.
They're not thinking like, hey, half of the people we're sending this to have no fucking clue how to do this. Then the people that do, half of them are probably pissed off by it because they don't want to go through all these steps. Like, just send the link. And you know what? Then I started thinking like, who are the best advertisers in the world, right? It's like Apple, Nike, they're not using QR codes on their digital format.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
You're just creating extra steps. For
anytime you create an extra step in anything,
you're going to have less acceptance.
You're losing audience, I was just talking about this with Liz, who is Ryan, my guitar player in the country band, Ryan, his wife, and we were talking about how you mean to no, that's not who it was. I know who it was. Okay, it doesn't matter. I think that's who it was. Anyway, Gary, we were talking about how like when you get to something, you're buying something online and then they don't have a digital way to, like, you can't do PayPal or Apple or something like that. And so then you have to enter in your credit card information, but your credit card is over there. And even if you have it saved in your computer, you still have to know the security code. But if you don't have that memorized, your thing is over there. And how many times have you just bailed
Oh yeah.
on a purchase where you're just like, yeah, then fuck it. I'm not, I mean, or I'll get to that later and then you forget,
Yeah. I mean, we talk about this all the time, but if you're running a business, like just take the money, take whatever form of payment you can take, just take it.
So this one takes another 1% or 2% or whatever, you're losing sales by not
100.
offering it,
Yeah.
like
and there's I'm sure you have, I think it's just Shop, right? It's the Shop app or whatever. And like, there's so much stuff now that whenever you click on it, it's like, oh, I can just hit this one button. It already knows my address. There's so much stuff that I probably buy that I wouldn't buy if it weren't that simple.
I totally agree with you. Yeah. It's when that thing comes up, you're just fucking stoked. They're like, and they get you. It's like having gum by the register. Hey, do you want this too? Well, fuck yeah. You've made it this easy. I want that thing too. Yeah. I'll take that other thing.
Yeah.
The spontaneous buy section, I like that section.
Yeah. So other than car seats and digital QR codes, I'm doing awesome.
You're doing, that's good. But you have a quiet house now, right? Because if you're at home and because you're, 2 kids, a wife, dog, I got 1 kid at home, a wife and a dog or whatever, but it's like, and summer rolls around, like right now, the house is fucking silent right now.
Yeah. No, that's a nice thing about school starting back up. I kind of joked the other day though, since Tyler started football and he has to be there so early, he has to be there like an hour and a half before school starts for his football practice. Like 4 or 5 days in, I was like, I'm kind of ready for summer again. I'm tired of having to be up and get breakfast ready this early.
I know.
But no, not really. We're definitely enjoying the benefits of having the kids at school for a little bit.
Does it change your bedtime? Or are you still like staying up like super late all the time?
Oh, 100% changes our bedtime. We've talked about this on other dad shows, but like when summer rolls around, our schedule is just out the window, right? I stay up watching movies or playing video games with Tyler till 2 or 3 in the morning sometimes.
Really? Yeah.
Not every night, but sometimes, right? So now it's back to school and it's like, okay, 9 o'clock rolls around, kids are in bed. 10:30 rolls around, I'm in bed.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Casey is on this new regimen of she's eating healthier and it's really doing really good. It's really fucking cool. She's feeling great, but part of it is she has to have a bedtime, and I love it because I love going to bed early. I fucking love it, man, and I love hitting the ground running in the morning. And she just never has been that way. She's always like, if I want to go to bed at 10:30, she'd be like, what, you don't love me? You don't want to sit here and rub my feet and watch this show? Whatever. I'm like, yes, I fucking do want to stay up and rub your feet and watch the show. And so I do, but now that she's wanting to go to bed between 10:30 and 11, man, I am stoked. I love it, man. I love it. I love going to bed.
That's funny.
It's the best.
That's kind of a not too early of a bedtime. 11 o'clock though. Y'all got to be up early to
10:30, 11. Yeah. One of us gets up with him in the morning and just gets him out the door. It's about a 20-minute process because
is he riding the bus?
He's riding the bus, so he's eating breakfast at school, and it's great because he literally he's either sleep well. So this year we had to stop the sleeping in the clothes thing just because of the smell.
Yeah,
because he's a stinky boy.
Yeah,
and so he used to just sleep in his clothes and pop up and leave. So now it's just his clothes are laid out, they're ready. He gets up, he gets dressed, he brushes his teeth, and by then we have his backpack loaded with his computer and his snack, and you hand it to him and he walks out the door, and it's fucking great.
We haven't taken advantage of the bus thing. Where I enjoy taking the kids to school and pick them up from school. I don't like the line. I don't like the sitting in the car line, but I enjoy the time in the car with the kids. But now that Tyler's in football, we're having to do laundry every day. Speaking of stinky kids, I mean, that the gym clothes are just getting soaking wet, so he's got to wash them every day. Yeah,
that's a lot. We did the car line until we did the car line until Casey went back to work this time, and it's just a lot, for Cause I mean, I could go pick him up on the odd days or whatever, but I can't necessarily commit to it every day, you know? And so,
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, if she's working, then it just was a thing. So anyway, got him riding the bus and it's great. The older kids, you know, it was a 40-minute commute both ways. So, I didn't have a choice. And
Yeah.
I liked those times too. It was a good time, but I will admit, it's kind of nice just getting him out the door. I like watch him on the app, make sure he gets on the bus, and then back to sleep for an hour or two, and that
ain't too bad. I'm not doing the pickup and drop off every day either. We've got a friend that Tyler carpools on the way home with, so we do some days, they do some days, and then between drop offs and that, you know, Anik takes them if I'm out of town. I pick them up if she's at where I do it if she's at work. And then if neither one of us can, obviously we have my mom who lives nearby and helps a lot.
Yeah, she's very helpful. How is Margaret doing?
Oh yeah, she's good, man. She just, I told you whenever we got back from our vacation, she had COVID.
Yeah, you did.
And she had managed to go this whole dang time without getting it. But not too bad of a case. She's bounced back. She's doing good.
COVID, man, super weird. Like I feel like we had like a solid year of just kind of it not really being a thing. And it's just back. And I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, yeah, it's kind of back. I mean, no, it's basically, you know, like we said back in the beginning, like it's just going to be it's another flu, right? You've got the COVID. But apparently Taylor Swift had a, I don't think this is funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. Anyway, she had a show and in a fucking stadium and is a super spreader. And like half of a state. By the way, holy shit, this is way more important. So Metallica just came to Dallas, right? They played AT&T Stadium, right? Did you see the number?
No, but we went to the Rangers game the night of the first Metallica concert, and so the Rangers and the Cowboys Stadium where Metallica played are like right next to each other.
Yep.
And traffic was freaking awful getting there.
I can only imagine because here's the deal. The way they set up that stage, 100,000 people.
That's crazy.
They had 100,000 people in a fucking stadium and just, man, that's crazy. Just
have you seen people posting not photos, but videos or whatever of the stage?
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
I mean, I get it. I mean, it's cool that they can walk around. You get to kind of see everybody. I mean, they're not the first ones to do it. It's cool that people are in the middle, and you know, I mean, I don't know. The thing what they've done is, and I guess you were gonna tell me what your opinion of it was, but the whole fucking arena stadium is the stage. Like pyro is going off like in other areas, you know, and like lights and shit are, you know, out where the people are and stuff. It's really bonkers.
So I don't know that I can actually have an opinion because I've just seen like people's, you know, shorts or whatever that they've posted and it's not a great camera angle or whatever. But like from what I've seen people post, it's hard to tell what's happening because they're so spread. It's not like the band's over there, you know, they're so spread out and you just kind of, to me, it's like, you're just showing me a video of a crowded room.
It's definitely not the norm. I mean, it's not like a band set up in front of you playing, you know, because they're all moving around and all over the place. And like, you know, I know like Def Leppard did it back in the day, and it was in the round, but they sort of like moved together. And you know, I know George Strait does it. And apparently, he plays 4 songs one direction, goes to the other place, does 4 songs, another place does 4 songs, another place does 4 songs. Good night, you guys. That's the show.
I'm sure being there, it works. I'm just saying from videos I've seen, it didn't work on the clips that I've seen.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it works. I don't know. Do you remember back in the day, Beastie Boys did a rotating stage? So they did the whole arena and everyone is always, not always, but everyone at some point got to face, you know, you're not like behind the band in the sold out arena.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's sort of the idea, but you know, I don't know. I mean, it seems like everybody, the reviews have been really great. The Pantera haters are obviously out there, calling it a tribute band. And, you know, I just don't understand. I really don't, but You know, if the brothers' families have signed off on this and gone, we love this, like this is a great way to celebrate then it's not a tribute band. It's fucking weird, you know, like they got the perfect two guys too. It's strange that there's so many haters, but the people that are loving it. And they sound pretty good. You know, I mean, they really do. They sound good.
Yeah. I will say from what clips I saw, like how there's screens everywhere. And like you said, the pyro, like it looks awesome. The lighting show looks awesome.
Yeah. I mean, 100,000 people.
That's crazy. And
Jesus.
That makes sense why the traffic was so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even think about the fact that and that people kept asking me like, how did the Metallica show hurt your show in Denton? And I'm like, I mean, I played a 250 seater. You know, like I don't think it really hurt me that bad, you know, but
well, and it's also at least 45 minutes away and you know, not really quite the same crossover.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, there are definitely some people that told me that they were at that show or whatever. It's because, you know, it's like, again, when you go see, it's like going to see the Descendants now. It's like, I can't imagine what Metallica are doing in merch now because everybody there has a job.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You know, like it's
not just a job. They have a job and 3 kids that they're buying shirts for also.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine because I know like Kenny Chesney plays there and they have merch stands like down they're just everywhere, like just down even in the area where the crowd is, like what would be the football field.
Yeah.
They're like, you don't even have to go out onto the mezzanine or whatever to buy merch, those kind of shows. And it's huge, man. Do
you think they make it simple to take payment?
100%.
They take whatever form.
Take what they're actually, I guarantee you get cash out there rolling their eyes, you know, because they just want you to scan your fucking phone.
Yeah.
It was, we just went to a show the other day, took Everett to see Jake, which is spelled JVKE. And
so you told me about that the other day, and then I saw you posted photos. Is that dude just like 6'7" or something?
He is so fucking tall. It's crazy. And he's only like 22. So like, it's just this, it's kind of like, it's a little kid that just towers over everybody. It's very surprising when he walked up, actually. I had no idea. Like, and I even asked Everett, I'm like, did you know he was this, like, you haven't said anything. Like, could you not have given me a little heads up? Like, oh, Dad, this guy is insanely tall. You know, but he didn't say shit.
Huh.
No, it was a great show though. But yeah, buying merch was so fucking efficient. You know, I mean, they all have their little card reader and you got up there and you did it. And actually, I forgot. It gave me an idea, but I don't think I'll be able to pull it off. But they had little tote bags, and we used to carry those. But they had just like a cheap tote bag that you could get for like $10.
Yeah, and
to put your shit in, you know. And they had it, but they didn't have them like hanging up on the board. They had them like sitting there to where you would where they're putting your stuff, so that you would want one. You know, like, oh man, this would be really handy to have a nice little bag with straps on it.
And not have to carry all this
shit, you know, because you drop stuff and he's 10, so he's not going to carry his own shit. You know, we made it work. We got to take a break. Okay. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say that speaking of merch, Mia has started designing her clothes.
Okay.
And this has actually kind of been an ongoing thing for years. When she's playing with her dolls, she'll take like tin foil or a sheet of paper and like somehow wrap it around her and make this dress, right? But then for the past couple of months, she's been getting like a sketch pad out. She's like, Daddy, do you want me to design you a shirt? What color shirt would you like? And like, so she's been designing all this stuff. Well, they've got a dress up day, not a dress up day. I don't know what they call it, a theme day coming up at school, and it's polka dots. And so she's taken one of her t-shirts and designed actual polka dots and all this stuff. And, you know, it looks like a 6-year-old designed it, but she's super proud of it. And that's what she's going to be wearing.
The damn cutest thing I've ever heard in my life. That kid, she's going to be a star. She is something else. All right. We got to take a break. We will be right back. Hey, coming up in the show later on, Octane, Sirius XM DJ and TikToker, got a really good TikTok and Reels account. Jesse Lee will be here. I'm excited to talk to him. We'll talk about a little bit about music, talk about being a dad. That's all coming up in just a little bit on the Rockstar Dad Show. Y'all listen to this. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. Don't forget, we're on here every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern. And again, on Tuesday nights, I think at 9 o'clock. I always forget. That's why I don't do that one. Anyway, then on Wednesdays, it comes out everywhere on your favorite podcast app. And man, we've had some great guests. We got Jesse Lee coming up here in just a little bit. And, man, everybody's got a podcast now, like everybody.
Everybody, you have new friends with podcasts?
I just keep getting asked to be on podcasts, and I feel bad because it's like I used to say yes to everything, and I after about a year and a half ago, I had to learn the power of no. And but I relax on it every once in a while. I start saying yes to all this shit again, and I'll tell you, I'm going to be honest with the reason why I don't like it, and I hope that this does not come across in the wrong way. The problem with it is that I get asked to be on almost 90% of the ones that I get to be on or get asked to be on are people that are going, hey, me and my friend are starting up this podcast and we thought you'd be a great guest to help us get some exposure. And I'm like, man, I wouldn't mind doing your podcast, but why is that on me? Why can't I come on in like 6 months after you've already had the exposure?
Right.
So that you have a show down and all that. You're better at interviewing. Like why? But it's just constant. Hey man, we've got this show. We've been talking about this podcast. It's going to come out in a couple of months. So we want you to be our first guest. And gosh, that's super neat. And I'm
it's
honored.
Super flattering, but I get what you're saying. Go work out the kinks.
Yes.
Get something going, and then let's do this.
Put your friends on the show first and get it all together, and then, but anyway, I do as many as I can. I really do. But sometimes you get one where it's like the guy has like zero interview experience and doesn't seem like he's listened to an interview before in his life, and you just, so I just take over the show. I just start talking about whatever the fuck I want to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's life.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think something you said a second ago is extremely interesting and worth elaborating on.
Okay.
You said the power of no.
Yeah.
And I think I can right there go off on a couple of things, and I'd like to ask you some questions on that.
Let's do it.
But first off, the power of no. I mean, no is powerful, right? So you don't have to give people explanations. And if you don't give explanations, it makes no more powerful, right? Hey, can you come do this? We always want to go, I've got plans that night, or right?
Yeah.
But no just shuts it down, right?
Yep.
So it's very powerful in that. And I don't think that's what you're talking about.
Right.
But if you're like me and like you want to say yes to a lot of things. You want to make people happy. You want to do what you can for people. And so people ask you to do stuff and you say yes. Now, sometimes because of that, you end up overextending yourself.
Yes.
And this is where you need to learn how to say no. And one of the powerful things for me in learning how to say no was realizing that by saying yes to one thing, I was saying no to everything else. So you think that you're saying yes to say yes, but you've eliminated everything else that could possibly happen because you've said yes to this.
Right.
How about you? How's your power of no coming about?
Yeah, well, so that was just it. I mean, I said yes to everything and I got completely overextended. I'm a little bit overextended at the moment, but it's just timing. It was a busy summer. We have the Bowling for Soup tour coming up, which is a lot of work leading into it. It requires a lot. And but that's just prior proper planning, right? Like I so that we make sure that it's going to be a good experience for us and the fans. But basically I was just getting to the point where I was, my afternoons were filling up, and I mean, I wasn't writing, I wasn't recording, I wasn't doing anything that I loved. Any of the stuff that got me to the point where they would even want to talk to me, right? Yeah. And I actually pulled Krista Makes aside from Less Than Jake, and I just said, man, I'm going fucking crazy. Like and he said, oh dude, I've been there. You just got to start telling people no. And I'm like, yeah. And I go, I'm just worried. I don't want to be a dick. And he goes, nope, you just tell him, hey, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for the invite. I can't do it, but I really appreciate you asking me. And he's like, most people will respond back to you with just a holy shit, I can't believe you haven't answered me. Thank you. I totally understand. And so I wrote out sort of like a general idea of the way that I would put it. And I started just saying, hey, thank you very much for inviting me. At this point, I'm really just focused on music and family. And I'm really trying not to fill my calendar up with interviews, but thank you again for asking me. And he was right. I just started getting all of these people that were very happy that I just answered. Here's the thing. Those people, and if any of you guys are listening, I'm not saying don't hit me up. I'm just saying this is where I am in this process. Time has now gone by, and those fellas or folks are starting to follow up now. Hey, I know you were busy the last time I asked you, but how about now? And now I'm like at this point of like, well, fuck, and like you can see the correspondence of like, okay, 6 months ago, I told them that I was too busy. Man, I would feel like a fucking dick if I said I'm too busy now. So I've started saying yes a little bit. I need to give myself a break. I need to be able to say, you know what, man, it's still not a good time. Maybe I'll set aside a few days in November and I'll knock a few of these out or something, but yeah, that's where I'm at on it. I definitely am better about it, but I've started giving in a little bit more than I was, say, a year ago. I did a blanket thing, man, where I was just like, even told our publicist, I don't want to do any podcasts unless they're national, like things that, like fucking Joe Rogan calls or something, or if it's country music related, because I'm obviously building that career. Yeah. But then, they still have to hit me if one's good. They're like, well, I don't know, this guy's pretty good. Like, you might want to do this. And I'm like, yeah, fuck, I do want to do that. So it's a bit of it's a maneuvering thing. It's just it's learning to maneuver all of it. And I just got to find the balance. That's the main thing.
So when you found, like, when you kind of mapped out your response, did you use that response as a blanket response, or did you customize it to each person? And thirdly, if you did use it as a blanket response, that'd be a perfect example of a time to use AI to, like, here's my response, make 10 different versions of it.
Yeah, you're right. No, I used a different variation of it each time. Because I was afraid, because I don't have the ability. If someone were to hit me with a new email and not on that thread, I was like, man, if I just send them back the exact same thing, copy and paste it, that's a fucking dick move, So
and it's also a small world. Like, they may know the other person. That's the exact same email I got.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just trying to be as courteous as possible, but I'm also trying to be realistic. And
right.
The last thing I ever want to do is come across as a dick, but I also want to be on my A game. And, if I am on somebody's show, I want to be a good guest, and there's only a certain amount of hours in the day, and right now I'm fairly overwhelmed, but again, it's timing. It's getting us to this tour. I've got stuff at my other job that requires me, and that's very important, and so
you kind of got to, like you were saying earlier, that you got to the point where you're doing all this other stuff that either A, you don't enjoy, or B, isn't like your productive, stuff, prioritized stuff.
Yeah.
And there's the 80-20 rule, and it's not exactly 80-20, but it carries over into anything, right? And if there's 20% of the stuff that you enjoy, try to cut out the other 80, right? If there's 20% of the stuff that's productive, try to cut out the other 80 and focus on that stuff that's actually either A, being productive, or making you happy.
I think that's what you got to do, and as when you said earlier, when you say yes to something, you're saying no, and you sort of pointed to the outside world out there, and you got to like you got to make time for your family, kids, and your, all that shit, So I definitely make sure I don't do, that's the one thing I don't do any on weekends or at night. It's like, if you don't record during the day, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And most will make it, most will come back with a plan to be able to do it, but anyway, everybody has a podcast, Gary. And that's what I just wanted you to know that.
That'd be a great name for a podcast.
Everybody has a podcast. And you just, oh my God, this is actually a really good idea. You just have other podcasts on there to talk about their shows. So it's a discovery of like other podcasts. And then you just market.
We're on to something.
Yeah. All right. We got to take a break. Coming up right after this, Jesse Lee will be here. You guys know him. He's on Octane on Sirius, but you've definitely seen his TikToks. We're going to talk with him right after this. Y'all listen up. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very excited to have one of my favorite TikTokers. I think you're the first guy that we've ever had on here that I met on no, that can't be true. Anyway, Jesse Lee is here. What's up, Jesse?
How's it going, dude? Technically, if you want to be technical, we did meet in 2013 when my old pop punk band opened for your pop punk band in Cleveland.
In Cleveland, that's right. At the place that they knocked down, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unfortunately, R.I.P.
Yeah, man. What was that place called?
Peabody's.
Peabody, just a rock club, man. Just like 2 rooms, right? They're the small room and a big room, and just stickers all over the walls, and just a shitty, awesome rock
dirty
club.
Rock club, and it was awesome.
It was awesome.
It was great, man. I saw so many bands growing up that like very formative on my musical taste, and like getting to see them like 5 inches from my face because they didn't really have like a real. I mean, it was a stage, but it wasn't like there's no barrier or anything. Like you were right there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was dope.
Yeah, that was a good spot. Now you grew up in Cleveland, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Are you still there?
I am. Yeah, I've never left. Everything comes to me now, with the internet, so I don't have to go anywhere.
I mean, that's nice. That's the power of technology, right? I mean, you're doing your show on Octane.
Yeah.
And what show is it that you do on Sirius on Octane?
So I do weekends. I do Saturday and Sunday nights, and then I do the news breakdown type thing. It's like music news, and also like kind of anything pop culture. Or anytime somebody in Florida does something fucking stupid, that makes news. I talk about that. So yeah, the daily like kind of recap of crazy stuff. And then I got a couple other show ideas. I've pitched them. They're in the pipeline, so I'm trying to get my tentacles in there more, get on the station as much as possible, really piss people off because people hate my voice on there. So the more I can piss people off, the better.
Do they really? Just because you don't have like the normal radio?
It's weird because there's hate online on social media
everywhere,
all over the place, of course, everywhere. But I noticed ever since I got on Octane, now I'm hitting a bigger audience and also a different demographic of audience, because my audience before was pop punk and emo kids, because that's the stuff I talk about. So now I'm hitting more of the hard rock, butt rock, new metal crowd, which I love and I talk about as well on my socials. But that I'm hitting a whole new crowd that like doesn't really appreciate when I talk about Blink-182, I guess.
Right. Yeah, totally, man. I will say this, and I've commented on there before.
Yeah,
you do have some fucking haters on your comments, man. I mean, it is like sometimes it's just brutal. It's just not even like on topic with what I'll get on there and like I'm like, shit, that's not even what he fucking said, like.
My favorite is when somebody gets on there and they comment about a video that they saw like a week or two from me that's still pissing them off. It's like a new video, but they're still pissed off at something I posted a week ago. They're writing about it. It's like, dude, we're not even talking about that anymore. Like, what?
Are you past that getting under your skin, or do you not even go into the comments, or how do you deal with it?
So I really do try to avoid ever looking at the comments when possible. I turned off on Instagram getting notifications when I get comments completely. And I have it silenced after 10 p.m. so that I'm not waking up for any notifications. But I turned off comments eventually because that just got annoying. And again, I try not to engage, but every now and then, like I'll pull up the app and like, when you go to like the notification window or whatever, like every now and then I'll see a comment. It just catches me. And it's like, it's something, of course, negative and mean. And I'm just like, and I'll be in the moment. I'm like, yo, fuck you. Yeah. And I'll go back and forth for a minute. But
that is exactly what happens to me. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, first of all, you have to respond to some of the comments, because that's how you are, that's a nice thing to do. The people are, you know, Gary Vee says it all the time, they're taking the time. You can take the time too, but you want to sort of tiptoe through that so you don't get down into the hateful shit, but it's hitting that notifications thing and getting like the first part of their comment or whatever. And that will send me down a rabbit hole sometimes of just like, I'm fucking defend myself. And
like, I just want to joke about, but I will say I overwhelmingly get more nice comments
100%
than mean ones, I think we all do. I think we all kind of do, but it's like those negative ones, they just stick out so much more.
Right. But it's funny because when I made the jump to TikTok, instantly, and this is just for me because I say this all the time, but TikTok versus Instagram and especially YouTube is so much nicer. Like I feel like on TikTok, they're nice and supportive and maybe that's just the audience that I've found. But it's like on YouTube, they will just rip you a fucking new asshole and not care. Just like, call me fatty and, they don't give a shit over there, and I mean, what's your experience like that?
I think the hate's across the board for me. I think since TikTok is where most of my audience is, I think I see a lot more. Because I think it's wherever your audience is biggest, honestly, is because like the more people you reach, the more hate you're going to find. Because I mean, that's the thing too, is like I'm okay with the negativity because if everyone was nice to me, if everyone was like positive, that means I'm not reaching enough people. Right. That's all it is. They're not all going to think I'm fucking dope. I'm sweet. I know it. I don't need you guys to. I need to find the people that think I'm shitty. But no. It is crazy how like people just don't hold back and they say things like about like your appearance, about your like personal preferences, like just calling like I have people like all the time like call me like a libtard and like a fag and all this. It's like, dude. Well, I know I never even put my political stance out. Like, what you're just assuming things based on like the content I'm talking about, Yeah,
I mean, I think I was just telling Rob about this, and Gary, I know you're not on TikTok. I don't think he shares it anywhere else, but everybody's got their opinion on Ronnie Radke. But I was telling my bass player, him responding to people on TikTok is one of my favorite fucking things I've ever seen in my life. Like, and, because that man does not, again, think what you want about him. I don't need to give my opinion of him. He's always been fine, nice to us. I know he's got a past, but a lot of people don't like the guy. That's fine.
Right.
That shit is so funny. He does not give two shits. But I mean, like Gary, he will literally get on there and some dude will say something to him and he'll just go, well, guess what? You have to get up and go to work tomorrow. I don't, like it's fucking hilarious to me. And you can just tell though, part of what makes it comedic to me is that it does get, that dude is so big and he's so popular and just the smallest shit can set him off. I mean, it's like the Princess and the Pea.
Yeah. It's impressive, that he finds the time to even do it with everything he's got going on. He can take the time and make 20, 30 TikToks about some dude who roasted him for using a laptop live, But like you said, though, like it's crazy that somebody at his level, because nobody else at his level is doing that. That's what makes it even more hilarious. Yeah. Is like, could you imagine, like, I mean, I don't know, like this singer from Papa Roach just like getting on there, spending like 9-10 hours a day, just roasting people back. Like, it's insane.
I mean, he just got on there though. I was blown away. I couldn't believe it when he got on there and he called that festival. He just goes, this crowd, you're fucking boring. Your city's boring. I hope I never have to come back there again. You're terrible. You suck.
Yeah. So is he doing it a lot or is it just some of the, like,
he's
done a few, but
I think he's backed off a little bit as much. Well, he got banned from TikTok I don't know if he's still on there or not. I know he was banned there for a little while for some things that people might not agree with, some of his views.
Yeah. Well, and they don't like it on there when you're confrontational anyway. I mean, so like, because he would get on there and like it was pretty fucking crazy. But again, I found the humor in it. But I don't know that he's trying to be funny. I think he's genuinely, it's literally under his skin. You know, but well, hey man, let's talk about fatherhood a little bit. You know, when did you become a dad?
Oh man, which one? No, the one I know of. He was born in 2018. So yeah,
he's COVID baby
in a couple months.
So toddler age during lockdown. Did you guys figure out a way to do any sort of social stuff, or was it just all locked in the house?
It was really weird because because I work from home, and initially, my wife's, she works in healthcare, so she's out of the house, obviously. And initially, before we had the kid, we were talking like, okay, I'm gonna stay home and take care of him and work, and then whenever you have days off, that's when I'll work. And like, ideally, that sounded like a great idea. And then I got in the thick of it, and I realized like, oh, you can't do shit with a baby. Like, you can't do anything with a baby around.
Yeah. Most people's best parenting is done before they have kids. Like that's a great idea. It's going to work fine.
Yeah.
So the productivity was it. Yeah. So I did strike a good balance. But yeah, so we were never like planning on doing preschool or daycare or anything like that. And then like, we started talking about it because like, holy shit, this is so hard.
Yeah.
And then pandemic hit, and then I obviously couldn't do it then because places weren't even open. And then the ones that weren't accepting anyone new, So it was post-pandemic that we, whatever you consider post-pandemic, but like after things calmed down a little bit, that's when we enrolled him in preschool and started. And I'm really glad we did because again, he's an only kid. And then with the, compounding the whole like isolation of the pandemic, like he didn't get a lot of interaction with other little kids. And like, I think we were all like, anyone who had a toddler at that age was freaked out. Like, oh my God, this is going to destroy his like, social awareness and like his, social skills, whatever, which it did zero to him. Like this kid is the most outgoing. He's like me on crack, just a picture, a mini version of me, but drunk and like, drunker, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, no shame for all three of my kids went to preschool at 6 weeks, man. I mean, and to me, I would always say it's like puppy school, like they got to get acclimated. You get through all of the sicknesses and all that stuff, at your house because they're always bringing something in, but yeah, our bass player is the same way. He has to plan his weeks around the 2 days that his kid goes to preschool because you're just hard to be productive.
We didn't send our kids to school or daycare till they're older, but when they're younger at that age, they don't know any different, right? So if the schedule changes or this or that, like okay, schedule changes are hard, but whenever there's changes, they just roll with it pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Kids are resilient little fuckers.
Which is funny too, is because that's when I started making my TikTok content. That's when I really first started becoming a content creator in the first place. I mean, I've always like done some creative stuff, but that's the first time I started making like actual content online. So like, it was like a really weird transition where like, when you first have a baby, like you got all these crazy hours and you're like, you're up all night and you're sleeping during the day, whatever, you're just whenever you can get sleep. And like, your brain is just like not even operating right. And like, I'm sitting there diving into this whole other, new project in my life that's extra thing, but I had extra time because I wasn't sleeping as much,
Right.
But yeah, I remember making some of my very first TikToks with like him in like his little car seat or his little bop or whatever, sitting right there watching me like talking and dancing. Cause like back then I wasn't even doing the talking head shit I'm doing now. I was doing more like, meme type shit,
Right.
So he's like watching me like, what the fuck is dad doing? Dancing around to probably a Bowling for Soup song.
Let's back it up just career wise, if you kind of started doing content creation or, around 5 years ago and you're obviously, how long have you been on the Octane radio show?
I actually just celebrated the year anniversary of doing that.
Congratulations.
Which I probably should have made some kind of post about. It happened. I'm like, oh, cool. And then I didn't.
It's never too late. Never too late. What were you doing before that?
So I co-own a marketing and PR company. So like working with artists, like helping them like, get press and playlist pitching and things like that. Before that, I worked at a record label, Tragic Hero Records, which had like Alisana and Skylit Drive, much like post-hardcore. He Is Legend was on there, a bunch of post-hardcore bands. So been doing the music business side of things since 2013 is when I started doing that.
Nice, man. Yeah, just coming around from like growing up playing in bands or whatever and seeing a niche there and
Yeah.
and then starting to fill in the gaps for people.
Basically, yeah. I mean, so yeah, I grew up, in the whole pop punk scene and like, playing in like, and I kind of left that whole scene for a few years, like, especially like I was obviously into it super hard when I was a kid and teenager or whatnot, and I kind of veered off and like got into like more the indie rock, like college scene when I was in college, like, oh, I like Death Cab for Cutie, and then I somehow got in that pop punk band and did that for like, ended up doing 7 years, and those became like some of my best friends. And because of that, I got into the post-hardcore world, working at Tragic Hero Records, which was like a shit like I hadn't really even thought about in like so many years. I didn't realize there was still like a scene there or anything. I didn't realize there was still like a big like audience in that subgenre, which clearly it is. But yeah, so then when TikTok came around, I started like fucking around with that. I saw like I saw like pop artists were getting huge on there, like Lil Nas X and like a few other like hip hop artists and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is the next wave. Like, this is the next MySpace. Like, this is the thing that's going to start launching music careers, And no one was doing rock or alternative music at all on there. There was nobody even talking about it that I could see. So, like, I was like, there's an opening here. There's something here. There needs to be. And I didn't even think it was going to be me. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to be like one of like the people doing it. I just thought like, oh, this is going to be the next thing that launches bands. And that's why I just got into it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny because I feel like the first couple of years I was on TikTok, I really didn't pay that much attention to it. And it seems like everybody outside of that world, friends of mine or whatever, be like, I just thought that was for little kids, like, and I just kept getting it. And then, but everybody in the social media world is telling you, dude, TikTok's the new thing. And, I should have paid more attention to it. It's good that you had the foresight to stay with it, keep going, keep putting out the content. I mean, I see what you do. That's a lot of hours that you're putting into that, man.
Yeah. Well, I missed the boat on YouTube. I missed the boat on Twitter. I never got Twitter, understood it, really got into it. Really missed it on Instagram. Tried to catch up on Instagram, but like never really. Which is funny because like after TikTok blew up, Instagram did the Reels thing, and now I built a following on Instagram retroactively. Which is
exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean that's just it. So, but I wonder if people know how. I mean, those videos that you put together, can take hours, for this minute long. I mean, where do you try to keep your posts at, like time wise?
So I always try to keep them under a minute. I used to do that for retention rates, just because like anything over a minute, people start to really like lose interest. I also do it because YouTube Shorts are only a minute. They cut you off in a minute. So, and I want to have content that I can repurpose across all my platforms,
of course,
not just like a couple. So I try to keep it under a minute. Again, because I think that's where like people start to like fall off any more than like 45 seconds, really, unless the story is like really compelling. But they do prioritize the longer form content on TikTok a little bit because they're trying to push it out. They're trying to be the new YouTube. So every now and then I do throw a longer video out just to see how it does. And I mean, knock on wood, they always do pretty on par with everything else. They don't like blow up or anything like that any more than the other videos, but it's like, at least they're not being suppressed further. And again, maybe it might just be my quality storytelling, it could be.
Yeah. They definitely trying to reward for minutes it's funny for videos over a minute. And then so and then what is it? 3-minute videos on this, and it's 1 minute on this, and it's just it's hard.
I haven't
to keep
gotten
up
that
with,
far.
man.
I haven't delved into a minute and a half so long as I've gone.
Have you gotten
in the bedroom and on TikTok, man?
Yeah, yeah. Join the club. And so, what's your little boy's name?
Connor,
and Connor's 5 now.
He'll be 5 in 3 months, and he just had he's on his first day of pre-K today.
All right. Big day.
Yeah.
Big day for Connor.
Big day. We took the picture with the son and everything, made it official.
What's he into?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's really into that right now. And anything superhero related, Hulk. Wrestling, just beating the crap out of me. General toddler stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Are you guys? What is your? You said your wife was working from home too, or no? She's
No,
out,
no,
out of the
she's in
house?
healthcare. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Wow, and she was in healthcare during the pandemic too. Yeah,
She actually was laid off during the
goodness,
pandemic, which is insane.
that is
That we
insane.
thought of anybody who would have job security during a fucking global, medical pandemic would be a medical professional. But
Yeah,
she was working in the ER, and the ERs were empty because no one was going to the doctor. Everyone was like staying home, and like no one was getting sick really. People were getting COVID, but they weren't really going to the ER for COVID,
mhm.
So the ER that she was working at shut down. And I mean, luckily, kind of like the music business, like you kind of like get to know the people. It ends up being like a little bit of a small world, and like especially her, she's been doing it for so long. She has so many credentials that she was able just to grab another job like that night, probably,
Yeah, right.
just move around. So
yeah, but that's the thing, right? Gary's wife's a nurse as well, and
okay, yeah.
that was kind of a wacky time indeed. By
Yeah.
the way, you're listening to the Rockstar Dad Show. We're talking to Jesse Lee, and you can hear him on Octane and see his TikToks where he gives you the trending tracks of the week, and you give us news all the time.
Shake my booty.
You shake your booty. There's you're really good at your delivery's good. Your content's always great, and but so is that something that you have to continually like trying to dream up new ideas? Or yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think I'm kind of lucky because I talk to a lot of other content creators who I feel like are far more creative than I am because they come up with like, skits and like scenarios, and they put together these like the little memes and stuff like that. Whereas like a lot of my stuff is based on like what's already trending in the the music world. I'm taking the news stories and putting my spin on it, giving my take, my 2 cents, whatever. So it's like a lot of times like I don't have to create as much as like take and repurpose, a lot of the stuff, which I feel like that's a little bit where I have a little bit of an edge as far as content creation. But it is tough to decide what's going to be what's the big story that day, what I want to talk about, what can I get away with talking about. Like we said earlier, there's a lot of stories I want to talk about sometimes on TikTok or Instagram that I can't really talk about because the context is like maybe it involves like a rape, or maybe it involves like something illegal, and like you can't even like even in the context of a news story, you can't even say these words without your video getting taken down, and then sometimes like, do I want to spend an hour, 2 hours putting this video together and risk it just being taken away because of the AI?
Yeah.
How do you handle? So it's mostly trending stuff. You can't really go, okay, so next week's video is this, next week's video is this. You can't plan ahead that much. So how do you go from, okay, what I got to do the video this week, and I'm going to have to research it super fast. How do you handle all that?
So yeah, that's a good question, because that is actually where the other people, the more creative people, have the upper hand, because they can batch create. Like I know a lot of friends that will create 7-8 videos at one time and have them ready to go in the bucket, Whereas I can't do that, because once a news story is hot, I got to talk about that day and get it out. And it does put a little bit of pressure on me, whereas like, maybe I only have like an hour or two before I have like a meeting, or I have my show, or like, whatever I have to do. And it's like, I got to hurry up, put this idea together. Cause even though like the story's, out there, I have to write it in my own words. And then also like, okay, what am I going to say? Like, what am I saying about this? Cause like, it's not like I'm not like doing CNN or whatever. I'm not just like, here's a news story and here's the facts. Like I try to obviously put some personality into it, maybe a joke, maybe, splicing. So yeah, it can be tough to try to like get that all together really fast. And then you put all this work into it, pump it out there, throw it out there and say, okay, next one, next story on to the next, next day.
So how does that affect your social life? Like when you go out, are you consumed with like, oh crap, I've got to be paying attention to what's going on so I can have my next video? Or because you're so topical, like, are you the most interesting man in the world now?
Well, I'm obviously the most interesting man in the room. No,
Obviously.
Yeah, no, that does, like, once I'm out, like, I'm not worried about, like, if I get, because I do get notifications when certain like news articles, news things are posted. So I'll see that. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta make sure I make a video about that tomorrow or whatever. I will say though, it's hard for me to enjoy things, because anytime I'm out doing anything, it's always like okay, how am I making content out of this? Like every show I go to, every event I'm at, it's like, oh, this is so much fun. And gotta make sure I'm getting video. Gotta make sure I'm talking to people. Gotta make sure I'm like, okay, what's the angle for this evening? You know, even like when I go to a concert, I can't just do a concert review. Like, hey, here's all the bands I saw at this show. Haha, it's always like, okay, what's the angle with this? Like, what's interesting? What happened at this show? What's the big hook? Like I got kicked out of some 41 show, and last time I went to see them. And so I started the video off with that. Like, I almost saw some 41, but, you know, got kicked out, or I can't remember what the hook was, but it was something like that. So people are like, wait, what the fuck happened to some 41 show? So then it's the entire review of the show, and all the other opening bands, and then my night and everything like that. And then the big payoff is like, oh, my friend got chokeslammed by some asshole. We had to leave, you know?
Yeah, that sucks, man. Yeah, but you're right, man. It's funny. It's just always in my head. Like even just driving down the street, you know, or on my way to my grandmother's funeral the other day. And I'm like,
oh, geez.
No, I know, but I did a whole hospice comedy bit this weekend. I'm doing fine.
Sounds hilarious.
Yeah, it was really, really funny. Anyway, so but I'm on my way and I like see this sign and I'm just like, okay, I gotta do a TikTok about that on my way back. And I'm like, hey, remind me. Yeah, it's just a constant thing in your head of content creation. And especially when it comes to music, you know, and those things where you're, you know, because for me, you know, it's as much self-promotion as it is just building that community so that I can self-promote, right? So not everything can be about me because, you know, that I'd be preaching to the converted. I got to get out there and do funny shit about other stuff. But I could see how it might take away the enjoyment sometimes, you know, for you.
Yeah.
As far as like when you're out there and watching the shows and stuff. But I'm sorry you got kicked out of the Sum 41 show. That sucks. Jesse, are you still making music at all?
No, dude. I bought this fucking guitar, this Flying V, the sexiest. Like my band had a reunion show. Yeah. And I had like this Fender Stratocaster. I went and got it out of like my basement storage area because I hadn't played it in so long. And then like it basically had like mold on the fretboard and shit. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
So I went out and bought this Jackson. And we played that reunion show. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm gonna start playing this thing all the time. And it's literally been sitting there since the show. Yeah. It sucks too, because I want to expose my kid to that, because like, he knows daddy's on the radio and like he knows daddy like is involved in music, but like he doesn't see me play music. He doesn't see me. It's not like I'm like trying to like relive the glory or anything like that, but I want to expose him to that side of, you know, because like it's weird growing up. I always saw like the Rockstar side of the music stuff, and then realized later that, you know, there's business to be had. There's money in the business side of it.
Sure.
And I feel like now he's grown up just seeing the business, and not seeing any of like the Rockstar stuff, you know?
Yeah. That's interesting. That is a really interesting way to look at it. I mean, I you know, got friends that are managers that their kids just see that side of it, or, you know, it seems like they're just kind of always just putting out fires or whatever, you know? And,
does he have like a musical ear, or, you know, is
not
he
yet? No, he hasn't really gravitated towards much of the artsy stuff yet. I mean, we got him drums and guitars and keyboard. He likes to bang around and play and stuff, but he's really athletic, like complete opposite of me. Like he's really, really coordinated and he's really strong, freaking stronger than me. like, so he's probably going to go the exact opposite. He's probably going to like play like D1 sports and be a fucking lawyer or something. Probably make way more money than I could ever dream of.
I totally understand. I was a skateboard kid and then a musician. I didn't play sports growing up, and my son is a complete athlete and got super into baseball. And, you know, by the time he was 10, I was like, I've done everything I can with you. I don't, you know, we got to get lessons and coaches now.
Right. Well, you know, what's funny is like my wife, she works on a helicopter now, doing the critical care transport.
Wow.
So like, yeah, she does like the sickest of this. I mean, obviously, if you're on a helicopter, you're pretty bad off.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So he sees her at work, and like mommy's in a fucking helicopter, dude. Daddy's like standing at a desk talking to a microphone. Mommy's in a goddamn helicopter. So like he thinks mommy's the cool one. She's got the cool job. He wants to hear about her fucking. Like I'm here talking to rock stars every day, and he's like, yeah, but mommy flies in the air. You know,
that is so funny. Yeah, you're so right. Yeah. That is a pretty fucking kick-ass job, though. You know? You guys though are both married to nurses, and to me that's just so the work that they do, I mean, it's so impressive that they just have, it takes a special person to be able to deal with that. The fact that she can go out and see that and come home. Because as you said, I mean, you're talking people that have been in horrible car wrecks or people that are whatever, just failure of all their organs and shit. She's got to keep them alive for this. I mean, it's like a fucking superhero thing.
Well, yeah, the downside, which I'm sure Gary can relate to, is that they don't give a fuck about your tummy ache when they come home.
Yeah.
Do you ever go out to dinner with her coworkers? I mean, it's not great conversations that they have.
Oh my God. Not only is it like graphic conversations, but it's also the entire conversation. Like it's no matter, even when you try to veer away from that, it goes always goes back to that.
I can't relate to that at all. Let's talk about this, and it just comes right back to it.
In her defense, when she's with all of us, all we talk about is what the best taco place is,
for sure.
You know, where to get burgers, and you know, it's like it's just, and then what time we're gonna start drinking beers. But Jesse, thanks for coming on today, man. You're a blast, dude. And
thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be on.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we've gotten to meet and hang out a little bit, and hopefully we're skipping Cleveland on this tour. We're coming to Pittsburgh, so if you feel like making the trek up, come hang. And we'd love
man. I would love to come see you guys. It's been far too long.
We'd love to
regardless, have you. I plan on hopefully hitting up the When We Were Young festival. I know you guys are doing that.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Let's do something. Let's do something fun. Some kind of TikTok thing.
Absolutely. Which is funny. I also, because you're playing that with the same night with Plain White Tees, and I just had Tom, singer on my podcast.
He's doing we're doing the pre-show thing together.
You can start working on your angle now.
Yeah, let's work.
Exactly.
We can pre-plan. It'll be great.
Exactly. It's funny because you guys are playing that same night with Sum 41 too, and I'm seeing them tomorrow night. I hit them up. I tried to get an interview. I was trying to get the trifecta, like all three of you guys. But I guess, they got stuff going on.
I mean, it's just you can't really get an interview with Derek anymore. He's kind of in and out, and but you know, they run a pretty tight ship. But I hear the show is fucking amazing.
I can't. Well, it's them, Simple Plan, and The Offspring.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who I'm more excited to see. That's such a stacked bill.
It's fucking stacked, and I hear that it's just great. So have a good time at the show. Where can people find you on the internet?
Give me at Jesse Lee on TikTok, Instagram, Threads. At Jesse Lee Show on Twitter, X, whatever the fuck Elon Musk is calling it this week. You can catch me on weekends on Octane, Channel 37 on Sirius XM. Also, catch me during the week doing my usual bullshit. News runs down. I think that's about it. I mean, you can try to, send me a smoke signal if you really can't get a hold of me. But, I mean, best bet is the socials.
His name is spelled Jesea, by the way.
That's tricky. Jesealee.
I put you in my phone incorrectly when we first started texting back and forth. So I kept having to go back to Instagram to figure out how to look you up in my phone. I got it figured out now, though. It's
such a weird fucking way, and it's also funny because like people give me shit relentlessly when I like mispronounce a name and when I'm doing a news story. I'm like, listen, you know how many people fuck up my name? And I don't get butthurt about it.
Did having a weirdly spelled name affect how you named and spelled your child's name?
I didn't really have an effect, but we definitely spelled his name differently. We did Conor, only one N instead of two. And forever, people are just going to misspell his name. I don't know why we did that to him because everyone's just always
payback.
That's making it. Yeah, exactly.
Not payback, but pay forward.
Daddy had to deal with it. So do you. It toughens you up. Right. You know, boy named Sue shit. You know.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening to the Rockstar Dad Show. Jesse Lee, certainly a rockstar dad. Y'all go follow his content. Gary and myself on tour with Bowling for Soup all September and October, and we'll be back next week with another guest. Y'all be good.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know, some rockstar dads who started a show. Until the next episode.